In this lesson, we are going to look at a very important consideration for any organization, that is, paying its employees, or as it is called, compensation. Employees receive compensation in the form of remuneration, which can be monetary rewards, as well as it can also be non monetary rewards for the services that they are rendering. Without getting paid adequately, employees would not be enthusiastic about putting their best in the organization. Let us give a formal definition to compensation. It is what employees receive, financial as well as non-financial rewards, in exchange for their contribution to the organizations. In financial rewards, we can include things like wages, bonuses, pension plans, and paid leave. And non-financial rewards, they are incentives. They help in making the job more attractive, and basically there are two types of rewards that we talk about. One is intrinsic and the other is extrinsic. So intrinsic rewards are the personal satisfaction that a person derives from doing the job. These are self-initiated rewards like pride in one's work, a sense of accomplishment, or enjoying being a part of the job. There are a lot of jobs that you come across in which people take pride in doing that job. Say, for example, the job of a teacher, or the job of a nurse, the job of a doctor. You are doing your job. At the same time, you also have a sense of pride in having contributed to the betterment of society. So these will all be giving you a sense of satisfaction, and that would be an intrinsic reward. Then let us talk about extrinsic rewards. This includes money, promotion, benefits. They are external to the job, and they are outside of the job that you perform. Consequently, if an employee experiences a sense of achievement or personal growth from a job, then we would say that that is intrinsic. If he is receiving a salary increase, or some monetary reward, that would be labeled as extrinsic. In today's lesson, we will focus on three things about compensation, that is, objectives, importance, and the various components of compensation. Like we have seen last time, compensation includes the various monetary as well as non monetary remuneration which is paid to an employee. In the non financial rewards, we include the incentives which are given. Also, we notice that compensation includes both intrinsic as well as extrinsic rewards, where intrinsic refers to the satisfaction, pride in one's own work, praise and recognition which comes from a job. And extrinsic rewards come from a source outside the job, such as pay, compensation, promotions, benefits, etc. So, let us look at first the objective of compensation. the most important objective of any pay system is fairness or equity. We can look at equity in three dimensions. First, internal equity. This ensures that more difficult jobs are paid more. That is what internal equity within an organization means, that more difficult jobs should be paid more. Second, there should be external equity. This ensures that jobs are fairly compensated in comparison to similar jobs in the industry, similar jobs in the same industry, or similar jobs in the labor market. So, for example, if it is a job of an accountant, then that there is a certain amount which an accountant gets irrespective of which organization he is working in. External equity would also ensure that you are able to retain the employees. If you pay them less, they would definitely leave and join other organizations sooner or later. Then the third is individual equity, which ensures equal pay for equal work. That is, each individual's pay is fair in comparison to others who are doing same or similar jobs. As we have seen, the ultimate goal of any compensation program is to attract, motivate, and retain competent employees. For that, it is very essential that they perceive the compensation to be fair and equitable, and that it is in sync with their expectations. Now, let us look at the importance of compensation. uh, some of the important objectives that are sought to be achieved through effective compensation management in an organization. As we have said, first is to attract talent. Compensation needs to be high enough to attract talented people. Since there are a number of competing firms who would be wanting to attract people, who would be wanting to attract competent people, so the salary which the organization is offering must be high enough to motivate people to apply. And we have seen that companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, they go an extra mile to make sure that they attract good talent to their organization. Here, of course, we have to keep in mind that there is a cost element also involved. The wage bill of the organization also has to be kept in mind. Second, the organizations must aim at retaining talent. For that, compensation levels should not fall below expectations. Compensation should meet the expectations of employees. It should be, high enough to retain them in the organization that they have joined. There are some other considerations, like one I just mentioned, that controlling cost. The cost of hiring people should not be too high. Effective compensation management ensures that workers are neither overpaid nor underpaid. Also, the compensation has to comply with the legal restrictions. So, for example, there are certain government rules regarding minimum wage, bonus, allowances, benefit, etc., which have to be paid to the employees. and these have to be kept in mind. So these are the various considerations which a good compensation program must keep in mind. Now let us look at compensation administration. Goals of compensation administration are to design a cost effective pay structure, but all the same time, it should attract, motivate, and retain talent. The compensation basically can be divided into two: base compensation, and you have supplementary compensation. And there are other components. So, in the components of compensation, the first thing that we look at is the base compensation. Okay, so base compensation is the basic compensation which is given to the employees in the form of wages and salaries. And wages represent hourly wage rate which is paid to the worker, and salary refers to the monthly rate of pay. Mostly salaries are not defined in terms of number of hours. Salary would be paid per month. And wages and salaries both are subject to annual increments, and they would differ from employee to employee. What you find is that, see, most of the jobs of managers, most of the jobs, in fact, you find are salaried jobs where uh, payment relating to a specific period, regardless of the number of hours worked, is made at the end of the month. And actually this distinction is rarely observed. Most of the organization nowadays have moved towards a salary approach. Then the second component, the first component is wages and salaries, which is also called base component. Then the second is incentives. These are also called payments by results or variable pay. Incentives are paid in addition to wages and salaries, and incentives depend upon productivity, sales, profit. It is basically dependent upon the performance of the individual. Incentives are totally dependent upon the performance of individual, and you can have it in two ways. One could be individual incentive schemes, or there are also group incentive schemes programs. Individual incentives are applicable to specific employee performance. So, any employee who's performing well individually would be given this incentive. Where a given task demands group effort or team effort, there the incentives are paid to the team as a whole. So that if a target is given to a team and together they are able to achieve that target, then the incentive would be given to the whole team, and the amount could later on be divided amongst the group members in on an equitable basis. The third thing is allowances. Apart from dearness allowance and other allowances such as house rent allowance, HRA, conveyance allowance, leave travel allowance, these also form a part of compensation. Most of these you have in the public sector, in the government jobs, where you get house rent allowance, DA, etc. And LTA, leave travel allowance, or LTC, also the public sector, the private sector companies are giving. Then the next is fringe benefits. These include such employee benefits as provident fund, gratuity, medical care, hospitalization, accident relief, health and group insurance, uniform, canteen, recreation, etc. All these, which are given by companies, come under the heading fringe benefits. Plus, there are some prerequisites which are allowed to executives and may include things like company car, club membership, paid holidays, furnished house, stock option, etc. Prerequisites are offered to retain the competent executives within your organization. So, over and above base pay and over and above all the other incentives that you are giving, there are also these prerequisites which are added, which could also be like a rent free accommodation, a telephone at your residence, motor car for personal use, etc. And holiday home facilities. Lot of big companies would give you a holiday home. They have their own holiday homes in different places, and you could be allowed to use that as a prerequisite. Then non-monetary benefits. Non-monetary benefits will include challenging job responsibilities, recognition of merit, growth prospects, competent supervision, comfortable working conditions. These are all intrinsic, and they are also a part of compensation. Now, compensation is also called remuneration. So, whatever we have discussed forms a part of different components of compensation, or you can say that these are different components of remuneration which the company is offering. And every organization should have, and they do have, a compensation policy that guides the administration of monetary and non-monetary benefits to its employees, because it is very important to an employee. The very first thing which an employee looks for when he joins for an organization is the compensation and the benefits that he would be receiving.